Hi, I'm Patrick Barone of the Barone Defense Firm, and I'd like to discuss with you what to expect during your Michigan drunk driving trial. The first determination you will need to make is whether or not to present your case to a judge or to a jury. If the case is presented to a judge, it's called a bench trial. If you decide to go to a jury, then the case will begin with what's called jury selection. Jury selection includes a portion of the trial called voir dire. And voir dire is where the attorneys, the prosecutor as well as the defense, have an opportunity to ask the jurors questions. Based on the answers received to those questions, the attorneys can make a decision as to whether or not they want to include those jurors in the actual decision-making process at the end of the trial. Now, if you're charged with a misdemeanor, there will be 6 people who ultimately decide whether you are guilty or not guilty. If you're charged with a felony, then it will be 12 people. Based on the number of jurors that are available, in other words 6 or 12, the attorneys will have a number of challenges that they can make. There are challenges called peremptory challenges, and it's 3 for a misdemeanor, 5 for a felony, where the attorney doesn't have to disclose any reason at all and can just tell the judge that they want to have a particular juror excused. On the other hand, there are also an unlimited number of what are called challenges for cause, and those are specifically set forth in the court rule, and if the answer that a juror gives fits with what the court rule says, you can ask the judge to excuse that person for cause, and the judge may or may not grant it. The next part of the trial, of course, is the opening statement. Now, the opening statement can include only what the parties believe the evidence will show. No arguments are allowed. After the opening statement has been given, the witnesses get called. The party that calls the witness does what's called direct examination. And the direct examination must not include leading questions. And it's really an opportunity for the witness to tell the jury what they saw, what they heard, what they know about the facts of the case. Once that is completed, the other party, in other words, the attorney that did not call the witness, gets to ask questions, and that's called cross-examination. Cross-examination, the purpose of it is to help the jury determine whether or not the facts that were recited by the witness are actually true. And also, if the witness has any credibility problems, if there's anything about their background or about their testimony which would suggest that it should not be believed, that needs to be brought forth as part of cross-examination as well. Once all the witnesses have been called, there's been direct and cross-examination, and all the evidence has been received, then comes the closing argument. The closing argument is an opportunity for the parties to actually make an argument. In other words, they can say what they believe the facts have shown, and they can describe to the jury why they believe that to be true. That can't happen in the opening statement, but of course it can happen in the closing argument. During the closing argument, the parties typically talk about how they think the facts apply to the law and why they think the jury should find in their favor. So of course, we will be asking the jury to return a verdict of not guilty on your behalf. Once all of that's done, the next part of the procedure, the next part of the trial, is for the judge to explain to the jury what the law is. Those are called jury instructions. And the judge will give a very detailed explanation of the elements of drunk driving, including certain definitions like the definition of operation, the definition of intoxicated, and so forth. And then the judge will also explain what a reasonable doubt is, and then the jury will be released or discharged to the jury assembly room so that they can have their deliberations and come to a verdict. Once a verdict has been reached, they will come into the courtroom. The person who's been elected foreperson will stand up and will recite to the court what the verdict is.